I actually view my greetings with a liberal message from such a progressive politologist like Nerminak Nujan. You can always contact me at my email address armenak.nouridjanin64@gmail.com, or send text messages to my cellular phone number 323-445-1600. So today I want to give a review, liberal review, from a liberal point of view, and actually of such a progressive politologist like me, I'm Menak Nujan. So today I want to talk about economic sanctions which have been imposed by United States President Obama and West European Union against Russia for illegally annexing Ukrainian territory, Crimea, by use of military force. Actually, Russian troops did attack Ukrainian bases, weapons in hand, and kicked out Ukrainian soldiers and officers out of those bases, and they actually seized Crimea by force, by military force. But those sanctions, I consider them to be illegal, and I consider them violating international law, because they disregard the progressive will of the Crimean people. At the Crimean referendum, people of Crimea decided to join Russia at a percentage of more than 93% of their votes, made up that absolute majority of Crimeans who decided to vote for joining Russia. And actually, President Obama doesn't respect international law. He doesn't consider the will of Crimean people, which been outwardly expressed as a referendum, Crimean referendum, to join Russia. But how come that Crimean people don't have the same rights to secede from a larger nation as Scottish people have? At the Scottish referendum, Scott decided to stay with Great Britain, but if he decided to secede, Great Britain wouldn't be preventing them to do so. Great Britain wouldn't be sending troops to quell the rebellion of Scottish nationalists, and Scots would be a separate and independent state from Great Britain, from United Kingdom. But it turns out that Crimean people don't have the same right to secede as Scottish people have. So they're less human, and have less rights, human rights, than Scottish people have. And this, I believe, is untrue and a very unjust situation, when actually Crimean people decide to join Russia at their referendum, and then their right to secede is being disrespected by American President Obama and by European Union. Those sanctions actually hurt Russian economy, I believe hurt American economy, and then American exports of poultry, fish, and drinks, will actually suffer very much of losing the Russian market, because Russian government engaged in acts of Cold War and responded with countermeasures of banning West European and American exports of food and food products, into Russia. This is outrageous, I believe, because this was a very reactionary measure, as Russian government had no right, to engage in acts of Cold War. It violates international law, and it's uncivilized act, and very mean act, that doesn't make them any honor. But on the other hand, those economic sanctions maybe delivered a severe measure of punishment against Russia for violating human rights. For instance, the rights of travel, human right to travel is being seriously violated in Russia, as Russian people cannot travel abroad if they actually owe taxes, or owe some credits, or some loans, or any money. They cannot travel abroad. It's violation of human rights. And the second violation of human rights is information law of 1993, which is adopted by the Russian Duma parliament, in order to prohibit freedom of speech, prohibit criticism of Russian press or Russian government. And actually, Russian information law could actually close down any news edition for criticism of Russian government after three warnings. This was outrageous. And in Russia, well, there are penal code articles. They allow to jail people just for expressing their freedom of speech. For instance, for inciting hate speech, for inciting hatred, one can actually go to prison for a long period of time, like 2 years of prison, according to Article 282 of Russian Penal Code. And actually, also Russia, with the human rights abuses situation in Russia, but when Russian government violates the rights of mentally ill people to obtain driver licenses, actually, I think people are prohibited to have driver's licenses or actually have education in government institutions, and private institutions being banned now. Private humanitarian academia has been banned in Russia last year by the decree of the Russian government, and this is a very reactionary policy that's being conducted now in Russia. For instance, anti-American bill that actually banned adoption of Russian children by American parents will be signed into law by Russian nationalist Russian President Putin. Is another example of human rights abuse in Russia. Anti-gay laws expressly prohibit actually gay lesbian propaganda to teenagers. This is another example of human rights abuse in Russia. So the economic sanctions stand for punishment of Russia for violating human rights of Russian people, human rights abuses in Russia. So there might be progress. In terms of other countries, there's actually been actively speaking out for and against for economic sanctions. There is Greece, that one country who left newly elected leftist government of Syriza party decided to oppose with economic sanctions. They even promised to use veto power in order to stop European Union from adopting, from extending sanctions against Russia. But there is no veto being used by Greece, actually, so that Greece government, newly elected government, failed to deliver on its promises. I believe that though they actually try to stop austerity program, they might be very progressive, because Greek people suffer a lot, with austerity program, which enables International Monetary Fund to fire workers, Greek workers from their government jobs, and makes many people unemployed and homeless. And actually, I believe that it's a great victory for left force of Syriza party, because it's helped restore human rights in Greece. Well, so that economic sanctions against Russia, I believe, were mostly unfair and unjust in terms of not recognizing Crimean referendum to join Russia. They violate international law. But in terms of punishing Russia for violating human rights, it may be worthwhile on the other hand. So that, I don't know, I asked American President Obama to stop those economic sanctions against Russia, because actually American economic interests are being hurt. American exports of poultry and soybeans and drinks actually are being stopped, and America lost a major market as Russia is, as modern Russia is. And actually that hurt American interests. And President Obama should take that into consideration. Lately, President Obama told the public that economic sanctions might be lifted because they hurt the Russian economy, and he didn't want that. But he was quite hypocritical about it. He didn't do anything about it. President Obama refused to raise minimum wage as well, as he was promised during his election campaign in 2007, but he expressly opposed raising minimum wage. And I believe President Obama is still conservative president. He's not a liberal president. I would like to hear your feedback on my text my cellular phone number on 323 445 1600. Thank you for your attention.